welcome to the Cemetery Gates podcast featuring Xander Kane and Android Virus.
Hey, welcome back to the Cemetery Gates podcast. I am Android Virus, joined by Mr. Xander Kane. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, pretty good, man. Just sitting here. Got Jason, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives on in the background.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I always enjoy the silliness of how they brought Jason back to life in this one.
Yes, very Frankensteinish.
Yeah.
He looks like directly taken from Lucio Fulci's Zombie, the guy from the graveyard. You know, that guy? The worms in his eye. So, sure. I like Jason Lives, actually. And I like the was it New Blood? That's not too bad either. New Blood.
That's the psychic one.
Yeah.
With Muffy and Buffy, the twins, or whatever.
Right. And then we got Jason Takes Manhattan, which wasn't that great.
No.
Some corny kills and a goddamn weird ending that I still can't explain. And then you got Jason X, right? Oh, no. Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, and then X.
Yeah. And that's when they lost the Friday the 13th name, so they had to start just naming them Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, man. I love those movies. What was the stronger franchise, that or Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street?
I enjoy Friday the 13th as a whole. Much better. To me, I like a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Streets, but man, I don't watch some of those ever again because they're just awful. Like the jokes get worse. Like the Freddy jokes are just terrible, and they're not funny. Like I love the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets. And I like A New Nightmare, and everything else can be lost on me. But I like just about every one of the Friday the 13th, with the exception of Jason X. I can't stand, and I like parts of Jason Goes to Hell. So as a better franchise, it's Friday the 13th. So hands down.
Right. I like the attempt in Jason X. Right, like the attempt to make it different, but it was super cheap. You know what I mean? Like super like sci-fi movie, very low budget, not that great, but it had some funny shit in it. But yeah, man, New Nightmare is fucking awesome. First 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies are the shit, and then he got real slapsticky. You know, like cha cha cha. You know, like
what was that really terrible dirt bike joke? I can't remember the joke. Where he's got the dirt bike and he's cranking it up and he's talking about hitting the guy in the face with it or whatever.
Need for Speed or something weird.
It's something stupid like that. You're like, you're not even trying anymore.
Yeah, and then they had the Nintendo glove. Now you're playing the Power line. Yeah, that one was pretty funny too. And, you know, like I think the Nintendo was like, no, we don't work with you, man. So they made their own version of the Power Glove. They just took the Nintendo Power Glove and added shit onto it so they didn't get sued. That's fucking hilarious, man. Those movies are ridiculous. Yeah, the third one's great. The third one actually was my introduction into mainstream horror because, believe it or not, as a child, I mean, this is really funny. Not funny, but really is funny. I had looking back on it, what I know about myself now, I had horrible anxiety as a little kid. And scary movies really brought it out. And so not until probably I reached 5th or 6th grade until I saw Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, where I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. You know, and it was actually kind of cool, to be honest with you. Because part 3 is more of a adventure film. So action, adventure, fantasy, horror, all
Yeah,
that
it's true.
stuff.
It kind of almost has like a Goonies vibe to it, to where like all the kids are trying to fight it together. That's a really cool aspect to it.
Yeah, man. So what have you been watching, bro?
Dude, I've been catching up on my shark movies, man.
Oh, nice.
I kind of abandoned them for a long time. I don't really know why. I just kind of lost interest, so I didn't really go back and see any. But I watched The Meg with Jason Statham. Silly, fun. I would liken it to like a Deep Blue Sea. Like it's kind of silly and outlandish, but entertaining. I think Jason Statham's great in it. It's I kind of wish I saw it in the theater, but I did not.
Okay.
But I did enjoy it. And then I also watched 47 Meters Down.
No.
Which I had no idea Mandy Moore was in that. Did
I
you?
don't think I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So these girls are on vacation in Cancun, I don't know, somewhere in South America or Mexico. And they meet these guys and they go down, like exploring in the cage down in there. And the one girl obviously is like nervous about it. And the other one's like, yes, please, blah, blah, blah. So she like convinces her to go, and they basically get stuck 47 meters down in the cage. And it's them trying to get out. So it's kind of like, The Descent underwater a little bit.
Sure.
So, but it's good. It's good. I hear the sequel to that is not good, but I haven't watched that yet. So up next for me in my shark journey is the sequel to 47 Meters Down, which is Uncaged 47 Meters Down. And then Deep Blue Sea 2, which I didn't even know was a thing.
No, I didn't either.
And The Shallows. And I think that catches me up. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fun, man. So you've just been catching up on the shark films.
Yeah, for whatever reasons, they're hitting my fancy right now.
Cool.
So.
Yeah. I checked out Graduation Day.
Yeah.
I put that on a Android Vision. What's really funny about it is when I record the Android Vision shows, I do my best to watch the movies, or at least so I know what I'm talking about. Because the way I record Android Vision, if anybody out there doesn't know what it is, it's you can go on YouTube, just type up Android Vision, and it's me hosting horror movies, kind of like, horror hosts like Svengoolie, Elvira. There's so many horror hosts out there. But anyways, I'm my own version of my horror host, I guess. But so when I host a movie, and I'll share it via Watch Together or on Facebook or something like that, I'll review the movie, talk about interesting facts. And I hadn't seen Slugs in not Slugs. I did Slugs last week too, but Graduation Day in such a long time, and I just remember bits and pieces of it. So I sat through it, and it's about as good as I remembered. I mean, it's just your typical early 80s slasher cash-in film from a director that never really directed horror movies before.
Now, is that I can't remember. Is that an actual Troma movie, or is it one of the ones that Troma bought the rights to distribute?
They distributed it, yeah.
Okay. I didn't think I knew it was technically a Troma movie, but like even just like watching the trailer and seeing the cover, you're like, this isn't a Troma movie.
No, it's not. It's just distributed by Troma, but the guy who made it, Herb Fried, and his writing partner and a couple of the other producers kind of went and they made it independently, pretty cheap, but pretty genius. They rented a high school for like $100 a day, and they got to use the grounds. I mean, so there goes your filming permits. I mean, they pretty much just filmed it all there, and and then the background actors they didn't have to pay for or any of that stuff because it was a high school, and everybody's like, hey, if you want to be in it, whatever. But they shopped the film around at that point and were like telling the theaters, hey, can you play this? And so that's kind of how it went with it's kind of like they just hawked their movie, and that's what happened. But it's not bad. It's got some decent kills. Linnea Quigley's like in half of it. Vanna White's in it.
Oh, really? I knew Linnea was in it. I don't think I knew Vanna was in it.
Young Vanna, who has like maybe 3 scenes. Yeah, so
Okay.
she doesn't get killed, but yeah, not bad. It's pretty cool, man. It's worth the watch. It's worth the notch in your belt on the
Slasher checklist.
Your slasher checklist. That's right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just kind of been revisiting a lot of old Android Vision stuff. Because I've been like swapping it together and re-editing a lot of old clips and shows and putting them up on Facebook watch parties. So
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I watched another fucking horror movie, dude, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Cannot remember.
That's why you got to stay on that letterboxd, man.
I know
every time,
dude.
I would be lost without letterboxd.
Would you?
You and I would be doing the same like 10 movies if I didn't have them locked because I wouldn't remember.
I don't know. Like, goddamn. And there was a movie that I watched and I totally spaced it. And I wanted to talk about it too, but oh well.
It'll come to you in like 45 minutes after we finish recording.
Yeah, it'll come to me and I'll be like, damn it. You know, like I knew I wanted to talk about that shit. So it's all good, man. But yeah, Graduation Day, I watched that and some other shit that I don't remember. So
clearly a stellar film.
apparently, yeah. And then we watched our films. So there you go.
Yeah.
And I watched your film the other day. So yeah, man. So we watched a short horror film.
Yeah, that we did. So like we said last time, we're trying this out. We want to talk about a short film, but we're still kind of figuring out how we're going to do it. So we're just kind of going to go with it this time around and see how we like it, see if we want to change it up. But anyways, I wanted to share, I should say that I don't even know what you think of this particular short film, but I wanted to share short films that I really enjoyed and that I just think people should check out. And so the first one that we decided to do is a short film called The Daughters of Virtue, directed by Michael Escobedo, who wrote it and directed it. And he doesn't have a ton in his filmography, mostly short films. And then he co-produced some stuff. But his upcoming project is a movie called Murder Manual that I believe is out now. I have not seen it. But anyways, this short was featured on the Alter channel, which is an awesome YouTube channel that I suggest you subscribe to if you're a horror fan at all. They have some really high quality short films on there all the time, and we'll probably cover several that they have on there, but they're really always high quality. They're usually ones that are like making festival buzz, and then after they're done with the festival buzz, a lot of the times they will put them on Alter. And like right now they're actually playing ones for film festivals right now, because obviously with the COVID-19 stuff, they're not having the normal film festivals. So they're kind of like doing donation things where you can watch it and like, donate whatever, kind of like pay what you will type thing to check it out. But like I said, this one's called Daughters of Virtue, and it is, so the synopsis on this, hold on, let me get those here. Is a lonely housewife fears for her life when a woman's prayer group meeting turns into a fanatical intervention to rid her soul of evil. So, yeah, that's the loose plot. There is this young woman. Actually, at the very beginning of the short, her, I guess, sin that you later find out, she was sleeping with a man, and she goes to her prayer group. And it's just all these women around. Like, this is set like in the 70s, maybe 80s. I don't know, early 70s vibe. And they're all like in a circle talking, just kind of talking out their problems and like figuring out what they're going to pray about. And then of course one of them is like, "Oh no, my husband's cheating on me." It's like dum dum dum. But it doesn't necessarily come off cheesy to me.
No.
It does a really, like, there's a lot of things this short film does really well. Like the music is top notch. The way the music is mixed with just the sound, everything is just very nostalgic and like almost not quite like, it's like a blend of like Hammer horror and like House of the Devil kind of. Like those vibes a lot.
Yeah, it's got the clothes, the definitely like the 80s, like early 80s looking clothes, not quite 70s, early 80s vibe, but like you said, House of the Devil.
Yeah. And so I don't think we're gonna spoil these short films. I don't know. On this one, I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing because they
No.
are short films, and like we can't talk like in depth about it because I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, it's a 12 and a half minute film, and that's
Right.
including credits. So
Yeah. So like and then the rest of the thing is just like the synopsis says is them trying to. They're convinced that this woman has a demon in her, and they're like, trying to rid her of it by prayer. And it comes to blows at the end with a fantastic ending.
yeah,
It just does a really good job of building the tension up there, and it's they put some money into it. It seems like it doesn't seem like they do at first, but it seems like they saved it for the final piece. Like the final scene is where they maybe put all their eggs in the basket. But man, this thing it's just handled really well.
yeah.
Like it's written well, it's cast well. It looks great. The sound is great, and it just kind of leaves you wanting a more in-depth version of that story. Like it kind of makes you want the full feature, right? Even though you kind of get like the beginning, middle, and end here. It doesn't really end abruptly, but you want more because it really sells you on the world. Like I feel like you're really invested actually pretty quickly in the thing. So
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, the atmosphere was really cool. Like you said, that it set the '80s scene pretty good. The acting was pretty decent. The casting was cool.
Yeah.
And it was a fun little ending. You guys should check it out. And that was called Daughters of Virtue, and you'd find that on YouTube.
Yep, it's on the Alter channel on YouTube. But yeah, if you just type in Daughters of Virtue, check it out. It's cool. It's 12 minutes. It's great.
Yeah, not bad.
Zero complaints.
Yeah, and I also want to let you know, we'll probably be doing a short every other show, and then for the audience out there, and then we'll probably also be doing like a every other show. Second chances. It's where Xander and I watch a film that we had previously reviewed or that we had both watched separately but never reviewed and decide to give it another shot. So that'll be coming up probably on the next episode as well. I remember what I watched, Xander. I can't believe I forgot it. I watched Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, is that your first time seeing it?
It is. Well,
I've never seen it.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I've seen
in its entirety. Yes, as an adult, yes. Billy Stone King and I, when we were in middle school, 13 years old, went to Video World. That's the name of the place. It was called Video World. There was a few here in Albuquerque, and we used to rent horror movies all the time, and they never used to card us. And we rented I Spit on Your Grave, Cannibal Holocaust, and 10,000 Maniacs. And we were about 13, and we rented all those movies, and we decided to watch them all in one day. So my memories of it are really vague as a 13-year-old, because obviously it was like 30 years ago. But I did rewatch it on Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In on Shudder, which was really cool because you get it breaks it up for you, and then he gives you some commentary, some facts, and all that fun stuff. I found it more palatable that way because if you just watch it in one shot, it might be a bit too much. But kudos to Shudder for showing it in uncut in its entirety, and then also kudos to them for warning everybody and saying, "Look, if you're not cool, like you got to consider the time this was made." Right. And if you're not cool with real animal death, do not watch this.
Like, yeah, maybe skip this episode.
and then they're like, you can. And then tomorrow, they said tomorrow, Joe Bog's complete commentary. We're going to play that without the movie. So they basically played his like talking shit about the movie through the whole, about the movie, but didn't play the movie. So
yeah,
it's a rough watch, man. And And in actuality, I didn't find the filmmaking half bad. I found it. I mean, it's a very shocking film, but I didn't hate it. I gotta say, I didn't hate it. I mean, it gets notoriously pined for being like an exploitation film, but it's one of the better made exploitation films, my opinion.
Yeah,
But
I have not that long ago. Severn did a deal. If you they did a Bruno Mattei pack, and he's got a bunch of cannibal movies. So I have Mondo Cannibal, and I don't know. There's like 4 other ones that I got. So I have a whole slew of cannibal movies that I haven't watched yet. But from what I gather, those ones are not the good ones.
Yeah.
So I don't expect much.
He was saying he was going off saying about like how many sequels to Cannibal. There's like 6 or 7 sequels to Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah.
And there's like 3 part 2s from different directors who may or may not have. Yeah, it's like really
it's a
weird.
Shit show. Yeah.
Yeah, like who owns what rights, who does, all that shit. So who knows? If you check it out. It didn't keep me up at night. It didn't really fuck with me. It didn't really affect me. So, I mean, maybe I'm just jaded or, but it didn't really mess with me too terribly.
Well, I mean, like you've also heard about it for like your entire life at this point. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's like you're just almost, what's in there. So when you say like, there it was.
And it's funny, like the shocking scene to me. Do you hear my dog barking?
I do hear your dog barking.
That's like a get out of here bark. That's not like a hello bark. Yeah. He's pissed off at somebody or something. That's like get the fuck out of here. Like there's people walking like at our top of our fence or something barking.
Yeah.
That's not like, hi, how you doing?
Hey, friend.
Yeah, crazy pit bulls. But yeah, anyways, wasn't too bad. I didn't mind it. So there you go. Check it out. So all right, guys. So we're gonna get on to the reviews of our films, and which is pretty cool because kind of what we both do is we both pick a film, we throw it at each other. This is my pick. This is my pick. And again, we both had films that were like suspended in reality, weird shit, which is weird because we always do that, man. Like we always pick like some type of similar theme without even checking with each other.
Yeah. Other than that, like there's literally these movies couldn't be more different, like realistically. Aside from those 2 things.
Right. So my pick was.
Patrick had a vague feeling something was about to happen. Something in the breeze of twilight had whispered, "It's going to happen tonight."
You just passing through?
No, we're moving here into Aunt Clarice's house.
Okay, what's the story about?
Some guy's been breaking into people's homes, murdering the parents, and sparing the daughters. He stays in the house with her, along with the parents' dead bodies. I like to write stories.
Incident in a Ghostland is your most personal book so far.
Your sales are through the roof. They adore you.
Hello?
Please, you have to come back.
Vera?
They never should have stayed in that house. Capacity to create your own world.
I guess the question is why write this book?
To keep from going insane.
She keeps reliving that night over and over. Are you gonna let me die alone?
You never should have stayed in that house.
Nobody's here. No one is here, Vera. I know what you want from your sister. They broke me, and now they're playing with you. Do you understand now, Beth? What did you do to me? Except what happened. Tell me what you did! Stop running away!
All right, guys, you listened to the trailer for 2018's Incident in a Ghostland. This was my pick. And the only damn reason why I picked this is because it was directed by Pascal Laugier. He's the guy who directed Martyrs, which is one of my favorite films.
Definitely one of my favorite foreign films of all time.
Yeah, for sure. And he's done other movies, like he did The Tall Man with Jessica Biel. I never saw that.
That's not bad, man. That movie got it got a terrible rap. I think I thought it was good. It's more of a thriller than a horror. I understand like people watching Martyrs and being like, and then watching Tall Man and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and kind of the same for this movie as well. But let me give you kind of a synopsis what this movie's about. It's pretty much about a mother and she has two daughters. And they inherited a house somewhere. It's like I think it's her sister's house. And
it's their aunt, it was their aunt's house. So
their aunt and her sister. Their mom is a French woman. So these two daughters are teenage girls. They probably like seem like they're the ages between maybe the older one's probably 16, 17. The other one's probably 15 or 16. So they're a couple years apart. And one of the younger daughter is sitting in the front because they're driving, right? Like, let me just kind of paint the picture for you. They're kind of like in I want to say like a Kansas-y type of town. I don't know, something like that.
Somewhere out there, Nebraska, Kansas, something.
Somewhere rural, but it's not the summer, it's the winter, so everything's kind of brown and kind of gray and dull, and the blonde daughter in the back seat couldn't be more than annoyed to have to be moving out in the country, and the daughter in the front seat is reading a story to the mom, and it's the movie starts out with a quote from what's his name, Cthulhu guy, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah. So that kind of sets the tone for the movie, and then the daughter, she writes stories, right? And the one in the front seat, she's kind of a gothy, darker kid, horror kid, kind of a dorkier kid.
Well, Emily Dickinson.
Yeah. So, they go and they're driving and they go to a gas station and no way. They get passed by a like an ice cream truck or something.
Like a bread truck or something. Yeah.
It's like a weird ice cream truck and it's just creepy, odd. And then the daughter in the back seat flips him off just to be a little bitch. And, anyways, they make it to a gas station. And one of the daughters does see, like, hey, serial killer strikes again, killing girls or kidnapping girls, and they don't think nothing of it. So they end up going to this house, which is really weird. The chick don't live there no more, but it's like full of like weird trinkets.
Yeah, there's like just random antlers all over the wall, and there's like
figurines.
Yeah, there's a few like weird, like folk arty like chimes hanging around. They're like wind chimes hanging around in weird spots. It's just very odd.
Yeah, dolls, clowns, you name it, just weird stuff. So they kind of just gonna get it acclimated and they're getting adjusted in their first night, and they get home invaded by what we would assume the newspaper that they read. The serial killers or kidnappers or whatever, and a fight ensues, and it's a pretty intense fight between the mom and the big bad guy. He reminds me of the doll face guy from that movie River Runs Red a little bit, like a big bald,
for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, like a big bald guy, and then there's like this chick helping him who I knew right away was a dude, by the way. I don't know, I just knew it was a dude dressed in drag or whatever.
Well, you can't really tell you don't really see the face of the other one for a while. Like you
don't
see the black hair and kind of the figure. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you see I knew it was just weird. Like either it was a really gangly older lady or a gangly older guy, but there's nothing feminine about that person. I'll just put it to you that way. So the fight ensues. The mom you know, kicks she's just fighting for the daughter's lives, and it's done in normal. Pascal Laguerre's his pattern, right? You see the animalistic fighting that he did in Martyrs, so it's kind of like that. The way it's filmed, the way he brings that out of the actors, which I really liked. And then, okay, this is how am I gonna like get into this without giving it away, man?
Yeah, I know. That's what we were talking about. I was like, well, do we have to like we need to decide? Because I mean, sometimes we will say we spoil it, and sometimes we won't. So I'm sure that probably drives some people crazy that we don't. We either don't always spoil it or don't spoil it. I don't know.
I'm gonna spoil it. I'm just telling
disclaimer.
Disclaimer. There's gonna be spoilers in this one. I'm just letting you guys know. So, all right. So, the fight ensues. The guy dies, and here we are. Fast forward. How many years later? Like 15 years later, something like that. I don't know. 10 years. I don't remember the exact amount. But the writer, the girl, she's grown up.
Elizabeth.
Yes, Elizabeth or Beth or whatever. Yeah. She's grown up and pretty good looking. I'll just say that. But she's a writer, like top notch writer. You know, Stephen King status.
Yeah, and you're led to believe she's a horror writer as well.
Yeah. Awesome, successful, beautiful house, business, husband, son, all that stuff. And she gets a call from her sister who says they're back. And her sister, she's like, and her husband's like, really? Is everything going okay with your sister? Because obviously, in the beginning, when all the fighting is happening, you're led to believe that this Beth girl is the weak one, the timid one. She's the writer. She's the younger sister. And then the older sister is a bit more of a bitch. And she's a bit more like, you know, rugged. And so you're led to believe like she's going to be the tough one. And so when they're adults, obviously she goes back home. Her mom's like, hey, I need you back here. So she goes back home and her sister is for some reason locked in the basement or has locked herself in the basement with stuff all over, like padding, like mattresses all over the walls because she hurts herself.
Right.
And the mom's like, hey, I can't help it. I can't help it. You know, I'm doing my best here. And so her sister's like chained to a bed and she finds her sister painted up like a doll, chained to the bed. And her sister's like, they're hurting me. And she's beat the fuck up. And like, but there's nobody there, but then there's nobody there hurting her. You know, it's like,
giant knots on like her forehead, the eyes like sealed shut. It's pretty gnarly. Like,
yeah, and she witnesses her sister like kind of like Fight Club when Edward Norton beats himself up. She kind of does the same thing.
Oh, and snaps her fingers back.
Snaps her fingers, breaks her fingers. Okay, yeah, and the mom and Beth are trying to control everything and they can't. And her sister, something happens where her sister's like, they're going to come for you too. And she's like, who's going to come for me? What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. You're crazy. I can't do this no more. And next thing you know, she's looking in the mirror and she's the little girl again. So, okay. So this is where the disclaimer is. The whole life of her being a writer in the future with a kid and a husband and all this stuff was all in her head.
Right.
And this was so basically at the beginning of the movie, what really happened was these two killers came into the house, killed the mom, and has been keeping them kidnapped hostage, painting them up as dolls, beating the shit out of them for a week or so. It seems like a few days, whatever.
Yeah. And there is like when they're in the car on the way to the aunt's house before all that happens, the sister does talk about reading some of her, or the tough sister, or Vera, the girl we thought was going to be the tough sister, says that Elizabeth's stories she's crazy. She thinks she lives in them. So they like kind of hint at it. There.
Yeah, she saw
like,
her.
She lives in her stories. They're crazy. She treats them like they're her friends, or like she just goes off on how she's like lost in her.
Yeah,
And her
she's like
book she reads or writes.
she interviews herself. She talks to herself as she's being interviewed by, a famous, interviewer or something like that. So during this time, she does seep into that world, and that's what we're seeing as the viewer, is this world of, she's a famous writer and blah, 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 blah. But like when she wakes up and she looks at the wall, she sees a picture, there's like some pictures on the wall of like old ads or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And they happen to be the picture like of her husband. And then there's a little kid, and
which is just like a drawing, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not real. It's not reality based.
It's a brilliant switch though. Like,
it's
been I was like, oh shit. Like, it's
because
really...
we're like, me and my wife are like, what the fuck's going on? Because my wife watched it with me. Like, what's going on here? Is this like, because at first I was like, okay, is this a curse? Are they ghosts? Are they, and it's like, oh, okay, it's making sense. It makes sense now. And so
once the cat's out of the bag here.
Yeah, once the cat's out of the bag, and then, so Beth, basically it's kind of a cat and mouse game through the whole movie with this big guy. He's kind of like a big, I don't know, like a big retarded dude, basically.
He's like a
he's like Sloth from the Goonies.
He's like a mixture. If Sloth and Leatherface were combined, that's kind of who you have in this guy.
Yeah, and then you have his caretaker, which is this other person in the dress, this gangly person wearing a black wig and a dress. But so Beth, Elizabeth, has no choice but to fight, because she's either going to get raped or she's going to get killed or whatever. And so she outsmarts him. She fights him. They both end up escaping, and then these cops find him running in a field. And that whole scene's beautifully shot. It's kind of at dusk.
Yeah.
And they're, the cops show up and they're dressed like dolls and their faces are painted up. And then you have the weird person, the one in the dress and the wig, just kind of step out of the woods into the field and just blast the cops and take him back. And then, another fight ensues, and they were able to call it in, luckily. The cops say, this is what's going on at this house. And it kind of wraps up with just more fighting, like really primal survival type of fighting between the two girls and this big behemoth of a weird dude. And then the other lady, there's a lot of biting going on, which is really cool.
Awesome, because it just it doesn't show too much of that. You get I don't know. I thought that was handled really well too. Like, you get the bite and you see the flesh off and a little bit of blood and it moves on. Like, it doesn't really dwell on it, but you can see like the slow tearing of the attack. Essentially, like, she's just not giving up. Like, she's not going to give up. She's whatever she can bite on this dude, she's going to bite and rip off with her teeth, and she just keeps going,
taking chunks out of him, and the cops end up showing up and taking care of business, and there's so much going on in the movie. I'm not giving it all away.
Yeah.
But and then it ends with these two girls like, I love you, you're my sister, and I love you, and they went through hell with broken fingers and busted up eyes, and it's pretty goddamn intense.
It is, and I didn't expect that. The title did not lend that to me at all.
Yeah,
I was expecting this is like a ghost story, and that's not what I got, because I had no clue.
So is the Ghostland in her head, and is it an incident? Yeah,
that's what I was trying to see if is Ghostland the town of that? I mean,
yeah,
I assume it's the town that house is in, but it's never said, I don't think, unless I missed it.
And then I know you texted me, you're like, dude, what's up with these creepy dolls in this movie?
Oh, man. Good. There's one that is so creepy that's just like hanging out in like an armoire. And then you're like, what the fuck is that thing?
Yeah, it's an intense film. I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. I really liked it a lot. I'm not gonna give it a pure 5 out of 5. Just because You blew your load with Martyrs, bro. I was expecting more insanity, but it was insane enough on its own. So I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Check it out. This was on Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Shudder. It's on It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. So check it out. It's a real fun one.
Yeah, I thought it was great too. It's better. There's just so many little things, but he's just a good filmmaker. He really is. Like he knows how to dial up that intensity real quick on you.
When let loose, right?
Yeah, and then like once you're in it, you're like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
like when he's
when he's let loose to do his own thing without any, big studio telling him what to do. Just let him do his thing.
Yeah.
That's what this movie wasn't. It's billed as a drama horror mystery movie, and I'll give it that. I'll definitely give it that.
My only not even really negative is like the title kind of threw me off, which is not really that big of a deal to me. And then I felt like it could have been more brutal.
Right. Just like
not that it wasn't like intense and had some like pretty violent scenes, but like it didn't match the Martyr level of brutalness, which I don't expect him to do that every time, because I also don't want him to be that, like, I don't want that to be a shtick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes Martyrs less impactful, I think, if you make everything kind of that way.
Great acting from everybody.
Oh yeah.
Really good acting, and all the teenage girls, and then their adult, versions of themselves. The mom. I mean, everybody. Really good acting. So, he's listed as the fat man. the guy on there. So. Yeah. He's listed as the fat man. So there you have it. But yeah, man, you guys check it out. Incident in a Ghostland. 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Cool. So up next, we got your pick, which was what? Deathbed? Is that what it was?
Bed of the Dead, aka the.
Ladies and gentlemen, the highlight of tonight's sale, lot number 13. We have the 1910 Van Meeger bed.
We've got 4 bodies and one in the hallway.
How'd the fire start?
Who are they?
Some of the victims from room 18.
I called in earlier. Your room with the emperor-sized bed was available.
Have fun.
Thanks.
All right, guys. So you just listened to the trailer for Bed of the Dead, aka The Dwelling, and this was Mr. Xander Kane's pick. And have at it.
Yay, it's me. Yeah, so The Dwelling, like you said, has first of all, the Bed of the Dead poster is fucking awesome. I don't know why they didn't stick with Bed of the Dead.
Yeah, it is a great poster.
And this movie is on Amazon Prime, for people wondering. And it is directed by Jeff Marr, who's done a couple other things. Let Her Out, which I think is on Shudder, and Antisocial 2, which I think is on Prime. He's done a few movies. I remember liking Antisocial 2, and I don't think I've seen Let Her Out yet. But, yeah, so the synopsis for this one is 420-somethings find themselves stuck on a haunted antique bed where leaving means suffering a gruesome death.
Yes.
So the beginning of this flick starts off like out in the woods, and you see these 4 or 5 monks dragging this guy out to this tree out in the middle of kind of nowhere, really. And when you get closer to the tree, you realize it's where they take to like kill people, and so they're taking him to end his life at the tree. And then the next scene is a carpenter carving something out of this tree, and this is what ultimately becomes this headboard for this antique bed. So this is their way of telling you, like, hey, wherever this headboard winds up, it's going to wind up being some weird shit. There's going to be some spirits attached to it.
some negativity. That's. I mean, this tree was used for some brutal shit.
Yeah, and you don't really get a time period. I don't think you get like a time, but it's significantly later.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you don't really. Yeah, you don't get a time, but there's some hangings on it. There's all kinds of shit down on it.
Yeah. So then you flash forward to current day, and you got these four. I mean, they're adults. It's two couples, and they're at like this weird, like burlesque sex club place, and they try. It's one of the dude's birthdays, and they're trying to get a room, but all the rooms are like sold out, and so they finally slip the lady at the front desk $380 to let them have this one room that's been closed for renovations. And so he gives her the money, and they go in there, and it's all like this. Everything's covered up, and you have the reveal of the headboard. And the whole reason they're all in here is because it's one of the dude's birthdays, and he decides they want to have like an orgy for his birthday.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's like a fuck place. I don't know. It's like a place where people go to have illicit sex or whatever. It's like a fuck club. Yeah. And then so they go to room 18, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, I want to have an orgy with my best friend and his girl and my girl."
Right.
And they're like, everybody's okay with it except for the chicks. It's like,
the chicks are like, so one girl's like, well, as long as shit don't get weird, I guess I'm fine. That's what she says.
How's that not going to get weird?
Yeah. So, ultimately they all wind up on the bed, and they start drinking, and then weird shit like starts to happen, So like the first dude that winds up getting killed, I can't remember why he gets. Is it the dog that he sees? Or he sees something. He gets out of the bed.
Yeah, the first guy, he like it kind of goes awkward. They're like, yeah, we're not fucking. Like basically, the chicks are like, no. Oh no. The first one is he's like, you two kiss, and she goes to kiss the chick, and then she sees like a weird evil face when she closes her eyes to go into to kiss the other girl. Yeah, and that's the first thing. She's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, so we learn like with this particular bed, like there's like it basically picks one of them at a time to kind of kill them off, but it also like makes them hallucinate and see things. And like the first guy gets off the bed for and to go, I don't know, lock the door or do something, and he ultimately gets dragged up underneath the bed, and blood sprays everywhere and kills him. Like his death is like the most mild of all of them. It's just like you're like, oh, okay, whatever. But the next dude starts like Well, of course the people are freaking out after he dies. They don't know what the fuck to do. And then the next dude starts hallucinating.
Well, they all hallucinate for the most part.
Yeah, right? But they're like they all hallucinate, but not at the same time.
Right, not at the same. They're separate. Yeah.
Yeah. So the second dude starts hallucinating, and like there's a weird dead baby skull that's like coming up underneath the sheets, covered in blood. You're like, what the fuck is that?
That was a cool effect.
Yeah, and when he sees that, the girls are gone. He thinks he's by himself completely.
Yeah.
And so he like jumps up and like grabs onto these like pipes in the rafters, and he gets like stuck up there, and the girls look up, and he's like above them, just like screaming and going crazy. And then you get like this weird spider baby thing crawling on the ceiling, and then it like bursts out of his stomach, and like blood gushes all over the bed where the girls are. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah, that was cool. It bursts like I like that effect. I mean, I'll just put you, the effects are great in this film.
Oh yeah.
The practical effects, and that split, it was like weird because it was like his stomach split open, but it first started with the skin, and then you see the muscle below, and then that splits, which was really cool.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, there's a film from the 70s called The Deathbed, The Bed That Eats. And there's a few little shout outs to that movie in this one. I don't know if it's in it's not. It's I don't think it's a remake. I think it's just another movie about a bed that eats thing. But this particular scene with the blood coming down from the pipes onto the bed, I think is kind of like a little, not a, kind of like a little nod toward it, because there's a particular scene in Deathbed where like it's all bloody over. But anyways, so Deathbed, the Bed That Eats, that's a cool movie too. But yeah, so you really, they up the intensity on that second kill quite significantly. And then earlier in the movie, there is before they go into their little sex room, there's like this super shitty dude that seems like he's about to beat his girlfriend out in the hallway. And they kind of one of the girls intervenes and like, tries to get him to stop or whatever. And then of course the guy like hits on her, and like nothing's really happens at that point. But now all of a sudden this dude walks into the room to the two girls, and the two girls like see him like, oh great, well help us please, crazy shit's happening. But the dude that comes in, like, he's hallucinating now, and he thinks these two girls are like telling him to come to bed to sleep with him. So he's like, oh yeah. So he's getting all hot and bothered by him in there, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
But then I can't remember why he gets spooked away. Or no, he just like starts choking the closer he gets to them. And then he backs out in the hallway and then gets killed by, I think, what is supposed to be his girlfriend from earlier that's dead.
Yeah.
I think it's the same girl, but she's all like smeared out from like the ring.
Yeah, she's like, I feel like that the chick, whoever playing that wasn't really a lot of. I feel like that they got a chick who probably could bend her body that good. I'll just put you that way. I don't know. It was weird. It was a trip.
Oh, I did leave out something huge at the beginning before the people got to the club. Was that after you see the scene from the monk, you flash to two cops at the hotel at the scene of the crime.
Right.
And then you're learning the story kind of backwards.
Right. Yeah, because they're fishing through burnt bodies and dead bodies and torn up bodies and body parts and a burning bed. Yeah.
And at this point, the detective is like realizing they've like find a phone or something. The girls find a phone and they call the cops. So they're like talking to the cop in the future. And the cops like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on and how this is possible. But they find a way to convince the cop that they're actually there. He's like, oh fuck. So he's got to like dig deeper into the whole thing. And he finds out that there's been multiple deaths in this room. So he's got to go like, figure out the whole story, and he try to piece it all together. So this is where we have this weird like alternate reality thing going on in here, or time or whatever. So
yeah, time and space seem to take a backseat in this room.
Yeah, it's like some weird wormhole. I don't know. But the cop winds up believing, ultimately that something's really up with this place, because he talks to a woman that was arrested for killing her husband in that hotel room, which was like they were into some like BDSM stuff. And it's a really cool scene with her and her husband. His death and what happens to her is actually pretty fucking cool. It's another scene that they don't really like hold back on the gore at all. Like the dude like rips his whole face off and she's in like a bathtub full of blood. Like it's pretty wild stuff. And then one of the other girls like starts freaking out. One of the girls freaks out and thinks she sees her mom, and she just convinced that the other girl just got her super high and is just like fucking lying to her about everything.
Right.
But she tries to hop off the bed, and then of course, once you get off the bed, you're fucked, right? Like you can't get off the bed.
That's the rule.
So she gets off the bed trying to get to her mom, and you get a lot of really great breaking bones as she's walking there. Like her ankles break, and then her hands break, and then get a quick little gore shot. And of course, now we're down to one girl on the bed, and the rest of the movie is just her and the cop like talking it out. He's trying to figure out a way to get her off the bed and convince her. And then I won't ruin the ending for this particularly, because I don't really know how I feel about the ending, anyways. But
yeah,
ultimately, the cop convinces the girl to get off the bed, and then somehow, well, I'm gonna ruin it, whatever. And somehow the cop winds up in the other They basically flip realities, so now he's stuck and he's dead in this world with the bed. Like he shot. He apparently committed suicide or something.
right.
He's got like a headshot wound, and he's trapped with a person that he killed on another. Earlier in his career, he had killed an innocent person, and that innocent person is like stuck in this like sort of purgatory, I guess. Here, the deathbed purgatory.
Right.
Which was I didn't really care for that ending. But yeah, but that's the dwelling, aka Bed of the Dead. Like we said, the gore is great in this. It clocks in like under 80 minutes. I think it's not long at all. So
it's not long, but
it gets straight to it.
I guess it does get straight to it. It's pretty inventive. I didn't mind it.
No, I didn't mind it either. I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, that was weird. This bed was kind of like Jigsaw from Saw.
Kind of.
Like it was like, okay, like it had that vibe to it. Do you know what I mean? Like the end, like it wasn't like let's play a game Jigsaw, but it was like I'm gonna give you a choice: confront your demons, or whatever you did fucked up or not. And if you're not going to, then I'm gonna kill you. It was just kind of what I felt it was.
Yeah, because there's an underlying theme going on with every character that eventually they figure out it's because they all did something bad. That's why they're here, and that's why the bed's able to like manipulate their minds, and I guess time and space. But
this is very evil bed.
Yeah, but it is. I think it's a fun watch, man. Like I think it's one that you can easily put in with like if you had a gathering of people and you just kind of wanted something on, and people would just look up every now and then and be like, "Holy shit, like what was that?" It is a little. I mean, it's not hard to follow. It's just more, huh? But I think for what it is, which I hate actually saying that, but it's just a gory, weird horror movie, and it definitely delivers on the gore. So for me, this one is it's a 3 out of 5 for me. It's definitely better than average. It's nothing. I prefer the deathbed, the bed that eats, the one from the 70s. That one's just like weirder, and it's more weird than gory. The previous, bed, the murderous bed movie.
Yeah, this one really relies on the gore.
Yeah,
big time. And so that it wouldn't if it didn't have the gore effects, it would be probably a lesser of a film. I feel like.
Oh yeah, it would be below average for sure.
Yeah. I didn't mind it, but
No, that's what kept you interested though. It was like, okay, because you're thinking like, okay, so how's the next person gonna go? How's the next person gonna go? So like you get kind of invested on that, like, what gag are they gonna pull here? To give us something. Ooh. So
it gets going pretty quick as far as that's concerned. You know where it's gonna go. So yeah, man, I think I gave it about a 3 out of 5 as well. Definitely not. The acting was okay.
Yeah, it was serviceable. It was serviceable.
Yeah, wasn't too bad.
The cop was all right, and they were just okay. Nobody was. But I mean, it's also not like the greatest film ever written either. So I mean, the dialogue they were dealing with, obviously, but
well, it was no veronica, I'll tell you that.
Well, thank God.
Yeah, that's got to be down there with one of the worst I've seen. So, yeah, man. So check it out. This one we caught on Amazon Prime. Right?
Yeah, it's on Prime. Yep.
So it's a fun one. It's worth the watch.
It is, and it doesn't feel long. So I mean, it's like 80 minutes or something. It's nothing.
And again, great effects. My only complaint about the effects is the blood was a little bit too brown for me.
The what?
The blood was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
dark,
like it was very I don't know. It could have been more red, but I don't know. Yeah, it's just it happens. It's a stupid complaint, but all right, guys. So you guys know where to find us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, and I'll be sending you my pick. And I love how we do this. We do blind picks, you guys, and we're not taking any more suggestions. So after Munchies, it's over. No more. Yes, these movies were actually a lot more highbrow and high budget, and overall well more produced than the previous pair that we had watched. So definitely a step up. So maybe we'll schlock it up next time. I don't know. We'll see. Just kind of do the whole roulette of movies wherever we find them and say, this cover looks cool. So we'll see what's up. So
hell yeah.
All right, guys, stay safe out there. Don't be good boys and girls. Just be good to each other. Be good humans.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
No. Just be nice to each other. Don't be a dick. Just be nice. Care what it is. Just be nice. If you have something shitty to say, keep it to yourself.
Or yell it to yourself in the mirror. See how it feels.
Exactly. All right, man. I'll see you next time, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Good night.
You've been listening to the Cemetery Gates podcast, featuring Android Virus and Xander Kane. Follow us on Twitter @AndroidVirus, @Xander_Kane, and @CemeteryGates66.